I watch Kieran sleep, his chest rising and falling beneath the bandages I wrapped just hours ago, and my hands won't stop trembling. Not from fear this time, from the syringe hidden in my pocket, still half full of the serum I've been injecting into his 4 bags for 4 months. He's beautiful like this, vulnerable in a way he'd destroy anyone else for witnessing. The moonlight cuts across the sharp planes of his face, softening the burn scars that crawl up the left side of his neck like frozen lightning. I reach out, fingers hovering above his skin, and wonder if he can feel it. The way my touch has changed from cold precision to something that makes my ribs ache. For months ago, I would have increased the dosage, would have smiled while doing it. Now I'm carrying his child, and the syringe in my pocket feels like it weighs more than my entire future. It started the day the government transports dropped me at his estate with a barcode tattooed on my wrist. 22 years old and assigned like equipment to settle my father's treason debt. I'd heard the whispers about Kieran Vale, the war general who kept blood servants like collections and discarded them when their usefulness expired. The man whose enemies were found in pieces scattered across 3 districts. The monster who'd personally executed 200 prisoners during the Ember Uprising. The rumors undersold him. That first night, he didn't touch me. Just watched me from across his study like I was a weapon he was deciding how to deploy. Those copper-colored eyes cataloging every breath, every micro-expression. "You'll serve when summoned," he said, voice like gravel grinding glass. "Stay out of restricted areas. Attempt escape and I'll activate the kill switch in your barcode. You'll have approximately 4 minutes to regret your choice before your blood crystallizes." I believed every word. What I didn't expect was the man who appeared at my quarters 3 nights later. Uniform soaked with something dark and viscous, moving like every step caused agony. "Medical training. You have it?" he demanded, and I saw the shrapnel embedded in his abdomen. That's when Elias first contacted me. The encrypted message appeared on my assigned tablet while Kieran was at the War Council, hidden inside a routine supply requisition. Unknown sender. Single line. "I know what he did to your brother. Make him pay. I'll show you how." My hands had frozen on the screen, ice flooding my veins. Marcus, my younger brother who'd vanished 3 years ago after being conscripted into Kieran's unit. The brother the military said died in combat. Case closed. Stop filing inquiries. He executed him personally. The next message read, 17 years old. Begged for mercy. I have the recording. But first, Vale needs to understand suffering. I'd vomited until my throat bled. The third message contained detailed instructions for a serum, colorless, odorless, designed to accumulate in bone marrow over 6 months. Systematic organ failure that would mimic radiation poisoning from the war zones. All I had to do was add it to his medical supplies. Kieran came home injured every week like clockwork. So I started killing him 1 careful injection at a time. If you want to know whether I go through with it, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what you do in my position. And subscribe because this story gets so much darker from here. The first month was mechanical. Kieran treated me exactly as advertised, cold, transactional, using my medical skills with the same detachment he'd use any tool. He'd return from operations bleeding, throw himself into the chair in his study, and give clipped orders while I extracted bullets and stitched lacerations. Never a thank you. Never acknowledgement that I was human. I poisoned him with steady hands and a clear conscience. The second month, something shifted. Started small. He stopped giving orders and started watching me work with an expression I couldn't decode. Asked questions. "Where did you learn field surgery?" "Military Medical Corps." I lied. Truth was, I'd learned from underground resistance medics after my father's execution, treating dissidents in basement clinics. "Before conscription. Before I owned you." "Yes." He was quiet for a long moment, studying the sutures along his collarbone. "You have surgeon's instincts. Real ones, not military patch job training." I'd nearly dropped the scalpel. "What?" "The way you mapped the shrapnel trajectory before cutting. Anticipated the bleeder before it happened." Something flickered across his face, gone too fast to identify. "It's wasted on servant duty." That night he left a tablet outside my door. Inside, full access to the medical database and a message in harsh, efficient text. Knowledge is the only thing they can't take from you. Use it. I'd stared at that message until my eyes burned, the syringe heavy in my other hand. Elias messaged the next day, "Don't let him manipulate you. That's his method. That's how he trapped Marcus." But Marcus had been young, idealistic, easily swayed by authority figures. I was none of those things. I mixed a double dose into his next 4. Then came the night that fractured everything. Kieran stumbled through the door at dawn, barely conscious, with a plasma burn across his chest that had melted through his armor and half his ribcage. "Ambush," he managed, before his knees buckled. They knew the route, knew the schedule. I should have let him die, should have called Elias, should have walked away. Instead, I spent 8 hours keeping him alive, hands inside his chest cavity, using emergency nanite injections I wasn't authorized to access, holding his heart steady while the regeneration tech struggled to rebuild tissue faster than he was dying. At one point, his hand found mine, grip crushing despite the sedation. "Don't stop," he whispered, and the raw fear in his voice made something crack behind my sternum. "I'm not going anywhere," I heard myself say, and meant it. When morning broke, he was stable. I was covered in his blood, exhausted, and crying for reasons I couldn't name. "Why?" he asked, eyes finally clear. "I'm nothing to you. Less than nothing." "I don't know," I whispered, and that was the truth. He caught my wrist as I turned to leave, thumb brushing across my pulse point. The touch was gentle, impossibly gentle from a man I'd only ever known as brutal. "Thank you, Zephyr." It was the first time he'd used my name instead of my assignment number. I threw up in my quarters afterward, the syringe rolling across the floor where I'd dropped it. Drop a comment if you think I should have let him die. And smash that subscribe button because you won't believe what happens next. The 3rd month destroyed me completely. Kieran started talking during treatments. Real conversation, not orders. He told me about growing up in the lower districts before the war, about the general who'd mentored him and then tried to have him assassinated when he rose too quickly through the ranks, about building his reputation from blood and necessity because it was either become the monster or be devoured by them. "I'm not asking for absolution," he said one night, watching me clean plasma burns across his shoulders. "I've done things that should have me executed, but I've never lied about what I am. And what's that? A weapon trying to survive in a world that manufactures weapons." His honesty gutted me, because I was lying. Every single day, I was lying with every injection. Elias's messages became more insistent. "He's adapting to the dosage. You need to increase it. We're running out of time." But Kieran wasn't adapting. He was deteriorating. I could see it in the way he moved, the slight tremor in his hands he thought I didn't notice, the fact that his regeneration tech was taking twice as long to heal wounds. The serum was working, and I was falling in love with him. It happened so gradually I didn't recognize it until everything changed. His mandatory heat cycle came, and he'd always been mechanical before, using heat-compatible servants with cold efficiency. This time, he dismissed everyone else. Came to my quarters instead. Stopped at my door. "Tell me to leave," he whispered, and I could see him shaking. I didn't tell him to leave. That night was nothing like the stories other servants had shared. He touched me like I was precious, like he was afraid I'd shatter, whispering my name like a prayer. And when it was over, he didn't leave. He held me, face buried in my neck, breathing me in. "I don't deserve you," he said into the darkness. My heart shattered. "Kieran, I know I don't. I know what I am, what I've done. But you make me want to be different. Better." His arms tightened around me. "You make me believe I could be someone worthy of the way you look at me." I cried silently, his body warm against mine, the syringe burning a hole in my mind. 3 weeks later, I realized I was pregnant. The test strip sat on the bathroom counter, those 2 blue lines destroying any illusion of control I'd been clinging to. I was carrying the child of a man I was actively murdering. A man I'd somehow fallen completely, catastrophically in love with. Elias's message came an hour later. "It's time to finish this. His guard is completely down. Increase to lethal dosage. End it tonight. My hands shook as I typed back, I can't. The response was immediate. Then you're as dead as he is. I'll handle it myself. Before you find out what that means, drop a like and tell me in the comments if I should confess everything to Kieran. Subscribe because this next part will leave you speechless. I found Kieran in his study that evening, tactical displays floating above his desk showing troop movements. He looked up when I entered, and his whole face transformed. Smiled. Actually smiled. Soft and real and devastating. Hey, he said, minimizing the displays. I was just thinking about you. We need to talk. Something in my voice made his smile falter. What's wrong? I'm pregnant. The words hung between us like a live explosive. Kieran went completely still, face draining of color. For one horrible moment, I thought he'd react with violence, with rage, with all the brutality I'd known him capable of. Instead, he dropped to his knees in front of me. Pregnant, he whispered, hands hovering near my stomach like he was afraid to touch. You're carrying my child. I know you didn't plan for this, I said quickly, trying to keep my voice steady. I know the regulations prohibit servant reproduction. I can request termination, you don't have to. Stop. His voice cracked. He pressed his forehead against my stomach, shoulders shaking. Stop. Just stop. I froze, confused and terrified. I thought I'd destroyed any chance at this, he said, so quiet I almost missed it. Thought I'd burned away anything good I might have deserved. But you're giving me a child. You're giving me a family. Oh God, what had I done? Kieran, I need to tell you something. The wall exploded inward. Not the window. The entire reinforced wall, blown apart by military-grade charges. 5 figures in combat armor poured through, weapons raised. Kieran was moving before I could scream, shoving me behind him, his body a shield. But he was slow, too slow, weakened by months of poison, and the first pulse shot caught him in the chest. He went down hard. No! I threw myself over him, and that's when I saw Elias step through the smoking breach, weapon trained on Kieran's head. Hello, Zephyr, he said pleasantly. I told you I'd handle it myself. Kieran was struggling to rise beneath me, blood pouring from the chest wound. Zephyr, run. He can't protect you anymore, Elias continued, aiming his weapon at Kieran's skull. The serum you've been injecting has made sure of that. Smart of you to weaken him first. Made my job considerably easier. Kieran went rigid beneath me. Serum. Oh, he didn't know? Elias's smile widened. Your precious blood servant has been killing you for 4 months. Every time he treated your wounds, every injection he gave you, poison. Your dying veil. Have been for a while now. No, I whispered, clutching Kieran tighter. No, I stopped. I didn't. Is it true? Kieran's voice was hollow. I looked down at him, at the betrayal dawning in his copper eyes, and couldn't speak. Couldn't deny it. I'll make this quick, Elias said, advancing. You've suffered enough. Wait. I scrambled to my feet, putting myself between Elias and Kieran. Wait, you said you had proof. About Marcus. About what he did to my brother. Marcus. Kieran's voice behind me, confused through the pain. Your brother Marcus Reeves? Show me the proof, I demanded. Elias laughed. There is no proof. There is no recording. Vale didn't kill Marcus. I did. The world tilted. What? Your brother witnessed me selling military intelligence to the resistance cells, Elias said casually. Saw the whole transaction. So I executed him and made it look like combat casualties. Been quite useful, actually. Having you poison Vale from the inside while I position myself to take command of his units. 2 objectives. 1 expendable servant. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Marcus didn't. I looked back at Kieran, who was staring at Elias with dawning recognition despite the blood loss. Elias Grant, Kieran said, and despite everything, his voice was steel. I should have known. You went missing after the intelligence breach. I thought you'd defected. I evolved, Elias corrected, and patient, and now I have everything I need. veil bleeding out, weakened by months of poison, his servant pregnant and desperate, his command structure ripe for the taking. He raised the weapon. Any last words? That's when Kieran moved. Even poisoned, even shot, he was still faster than Elias expected. Launched himself forward, tackling Elias's legs. They went down in a tangle, the weapon skittering across the floor. I didn't think. Just dove for it. My hands closed around cold metal as Kieran and Elias grappled, and I had a split second to make a choice. The man I'd been poisoning for months, who I'd fallen in love with despite everything, despite myself. The man whose child I was carrying. Or the man who'd murdered my brother and used me as a weapon. I pulled the trigger. Elias's head snapped back, body going limp. Kieran rolled away, breathing hard, clutching his chest wound. We stared at each other across Elias's corpse, and I saw the moment he remembered. The serum, the betrayal. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I'm so sorry, I didn't know. He told me you killed Marcus, and I believed him, and I've been trying to stop, but I don't know if it's too late, if you're going to die because of me." "Zephyr." He cut through my spiral, voice rough. "Are you injured?" The question broke something in me. "What? Are you injured?" He was trying to stand, failing. "The baby. You're shot and I've been poisoning you for 4 months and you're asking if I'm hurt? Answer the question." "I'm fine," I sobbed. "We're fine. But you're not. You're bleeding, and the serum." "There's a counteragent," he said. "Has to be. Grant would have wanted insurance." I searched Elias's body with shaking hands and found a vial in his inner pocket. Clear liquid, unlabeled. "Could be anything," I said. "Or it could save my life." Kieran held out his hand. "Your choice." I stared at him. "After what I did? You thought you were avenging your brother. You stopped when you learned the truth. And you just killed to protect me." His hand didn't waver. "I'm not a good man, Zephyr. But I'm good enough to understand why you did it. And selfish enough to want to live. To have a chance at being better. For you. For our child. Hit that like button if you think I should give him the counteragent. Comment whether you'd forgive me if you were Kieran. And subscribe because this ending will destroy you." I injected the counteragent with trembling hands, praying it wasn't more poison, praying Elias had been arrogant enough to carry insurance. Kieran's eyes closed, breath evening out. "Stay with me?" I begged, pressing my hands against his chest wound. "Please stay with me." "Not going anywhere," he murmured. "Have too much to live for now." The military medics arrived 30 minutes later, responding to the explosion. They loaded Kieran onto a hover stretcher, and he refused to let go of my hand the entire way to the medical facility. For days later, the doctors confirmed the counteragent had worked. The serum was purging from his system. He'd live. I should have known it wouldn't be that simple. Because on day 5, when Kieran was finally conscious and stable, a woman walked into his medical room. She was tall, elegant, with Kieran's same copper-colored eyes and burn scars that mirrored his butt on the opposite side. "Hello, brother," she said. Kieran went white. "Kira, surprised to see me? You should be. You left me to burn in that facility 7 years ago." She smiled, and it was sharper than any blade. "But I survived, rebuilt myself, and I've spent every day since then creating something beautiful. Something you're going to help me with, whether you want to or not." "I didn't leave you," Kieran said. "You were working with the insurgents who bombed the civilian districts. You chose them over everything we'd built. I chose survival, just like you taught me." Kira's gaze shifted to me, assessing. "And this must be the servant who's been poisoning you." Elias kept me updated. Such delicious irony. You finally find someone worth loving, and they're literally killing you. "What do you want, Kira?" "What I've always wanted. Your command. Your resources. Your reputation." She pulled out a tablet, showed us an image. Marcus, alive, restrained in what looked like a detention cell. "And I'm willing to trade for it." My heart stopped. "That's impossible." Elias said he killed him. Elias said many things, but he was working for me the entire time. Kira's smile widened. I kept your brother alive as insurance. Kept him hidden in case I ever needed leverage over you. Zephyr. Turns out I was right to be thorough. You're lying, I said. But my voice shook. She played a video. Marcus, looking directly at the camera, older but unmistakably him. Zephyr, if you're seeing this, don't do what they want. Don't give them anything. I'm not worth. The video cut off. That was recorded 2 hours ago, Kira said. He's alive. For now. But his continued survival depends entirely on Kieran's cooperation. What kind of cooperation? Kieran asked, and his voice was dangerous. The kind where you transfer 70% of your command authority to me. The kind where you publicly announce you're stepping down due to medical complications. The kind where you disappear quietly and let me run operations. She tucked the tablet away. Do this and Marcus goes free. Zephyr gets his brother back. You get to play family with your little blood servant. Everyone wins. Except you'll kill us all the moment the transfers are complete, Kieran said. Probably, Kira agreed cheerfully. But what choice do you have? Drop a comment telling me what you think happens next. Hit subscribe because this twist changes everything. And like this video if you're as shocked as I am about Marcus being alive. Kieran looked at me, and I saw the calculation in his eyes. He was already planning, already 3 steps ahead. Fine, he said. I'll transfer command. But I want proof Marcus is alive first. Current proof. And I want Zephyr there when we make the exchange. Done. Tomorrow night. I'll send the coordinates. Kira headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and Kieran? Try anything clever, and I'll send you Marcus's fingers one at a time. Starting with his left hand. The one he uses to code. She was gone before either of us could respond. The moment the door closed, Kieran grabbed my wrist. Listen carefully. I need you to do exactly what I say. We can't trust her. I know. But we're not going to play her game. We're going to burn the entire board. He pulled me closer, voice dropping to barely a whisper. Elias kept records. Everything. Every transaction, every contact, every piece of leverage he had on everyone. It's all in a secure server across the city. That's what Kira really wants. Those records would give her control over half the military command structure. How do you know? Because I helped Elias set up that server. He was paranoid, wanted insurance against everyone. Including Kira. Kieran's grip tightened. We're going to access those records before she does. We're going to use them to find Marcus. And then we're going to destroy Kira's entire operation. We can't do this alone. We're not going to. He reached for his comm unit, made a call. Soren? It's Vale. I need a favor. The kind that might get you court-martialed. A pause. Good. Meet us at the old ammunition depot in 2 hours. And bring everything you have on Kira Vale. He disconnected, looked at me. Soren's a tactical analyst. If anyone can help us pull this off, it's him. And if we fail, then we die trying to save your brother. He pulled me down, kissed me hard. But we're not going to fail. The ammunition depot was freezing, our breath misting in the air. Soren arrived exactly on time. A man in his 30s with calculating gray eyes and scars that told stories he'd never share. You look like hell, he said to Kieran. Been poisoned. Shot. Betrayed by my sister. The usual. He gestured to me. This is Zephyr. The servant who poisoned you, Soren said. Elias was very proud of that plan. You knew. I know everything that happens in the military districts, including the fact that Marcus Reeves is alive and being held in a black site detention center on the north perimeter. Kira's been keeping him there for 2 years. Hope exploded in my chest. You're sure? Positive. I've had someone monitoring the facility since Kira moved him there. Your brother's alive, Zephyr. Traumatized, but alive. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Here's what's going to happen, Soren said, spreading tactical displays across a crate. Tomorrow night, Kira expects you at the industrial zone for the exchange. But we're not going to be there. We're going to hit the detention center where Marcus is being held. Fast, quiet, in and out before Kira even realizes what's happening. She'll kill Marcus the moment she realizes we're not playing along, I said. Not if we take out her communication first. I've got a tech specialist who can black out her entire network for exactly 15 minutes. That's our window. Soren looked at Kieran. You up for this? Because you still look half dead. I'm standing. That's enough. Then we move tomorrow at 2100 hours. Zephyr, you're coming with us. You're the only one Marcus will trust enough to move quickly. Soren rolled up the displays. And Vale? After this is over, you and I are going to have a conversation about what you owe me. Fair enough. He left and I turned to Kieran. This is insane. Yes. We could all die. Yes. And you're sure this will work? He pulled me against him, hand splaying across my stomach where our child was growing. I'm sure I'll do whatever it takes to protect you both. Everything else is just details. Tell me in the comments if you think this rescue mission succeeds. Subscribe because tomorrow night is going to change everything, and hit like if you're Team Kieran and Zephyr. The next evening we moved like shadows. Soren's team neutralized the perimeter guards with precision. Tranquilizers, silent takedowns, nothing that would alert Kira's people inside. The detention center was a maze of corridors and locked cells. But Soren had blueprints that showed us exactly where to go. Sublevel 3. Cell 47. I picked the electronic lock with shaking hands while Kieran stood guard, weapon drawn despite his injuries. The door slid open. Marcus was there. Thinner than I remembered, haunted, but alive. He looked up when we entered, and for a moment he didn't recognize me. Then his eyes went wide. Zephyr. I crossed the cell in 3 steps, pulling him into my arms. He felt fragile, like he might disintegrate. I've got you. We're getting you out. You can't be here. Kira will kill you. Kira doesn't know we're here. Come on, we have to move. That's when every light in the facility blazed to life. Every single light illuminating us like targets. And Kira's voice over the PA system, amused and cruel. Did you really think it would be that easy? Soren's voice crackled in my earpiece. It's a trap. The whole facility's rigged. You need to get out now. The explosion cut him off. The floor beneath us buckled. And suddenly we were falling, concrete and steel collapsing in a nightmare of sound and chaos. Kieran grabbed me, pulling me and Marcus close as we dropped through 2 levels of destruction. We hit the sub-basement level hard. Something in my ribs cracked. Marcus was screaming. Kieran was covering us both with his body as debris rained down. When the dust settled, we were alive. Barely. Move! Kieran gasped, blood running down his face from a head wound. We have to move. The sub-basement was a network of maintenance tunnels. We ran through the darkness, Marcus leaning on me, Kieran leading the way despite his injuries. Behind us, I could hear Kira's soldiers searching, calling to each other. We burst out through an emergency exit into an alley just as the rest of the detention center came down. Soren was waiting with a transport. Get in! We piled into the vehicle, and he accelerated hard, tires screaming. I'm sorry, he said. My tech specialist, Kira, got to him, turned him. She knew we were coming. Then she knows where we're going, Kieran said. Every safe house, every contact, every escape route. She's been 3 steps ahead this whole time. Soren took a corner too fast. We're out of options. No, I said. We have one option left. They all looked at me. We release everything. Give it all to the public. Every file, every transaction, every piece of evidence on everyone. We burn Kira's network, Kieran's command structure, all of it. Expose everything. That would destroy everything I've built, Kieran said quietly. I know. We'd have nothing left. We'd have each other. We'd have Marcus. We'd have our child. I took his hand. And we'd be free. He stared at me for a long moment, and I saw the war in his eyes. Everything he'd fought for, everything he'd bled for, weighed against the possibility of a different life. Finally, he nodded. Do it. Soren made a call. Release everything. Every file. Every record. Burn it all. Within an hour, the networks were flooding. Documents hitting every news feed, every public forum, every oversight committee. The evidence was overwhelming, irrefutable. Kieran Vale's war crimes. Kira Vale's illegal operations. Dozens of corrupt officials and dirty commanders. Everything laid bare for the world to see. My comm unit buzzed. Kira, you just signed your own execution order, she said. Maybe, I replied, but I took you with me. Everything you built, gone. Everyone you had leverage over, exposed. You're finished. So are you. I know. But the difference is, I'm okay with that. I disconnected. The military police came for us 4 hours later. Subscribe now because what happens next will blow your mind. Drop a like if you think we made the right choice, and comment telling me if you'd burn your whole life down for love. The interrogation rooms were sterile, designed to break people. But Kieran and I had already been broken and rebuilt. This was nothing. Commander Thane sat across from us. File folders stacked high. You've made quite a mess. We've made it easier for you, Kieran said. Everything you need to clean up the command structure. It's all there. Along with evidence of your own crimes. Yes. You're confessing? To everything that's mine. But Zephyr had nothing to do with my operations. He was assigned to me against his will. And he's pregnant. Thane looked at me, something softening in her expression. Is that true? Yes, I said. But I'm not claiming innocence. I poisoned him. I killed Elias Grant. I knew what Kieran was and stayed anyway. Under duress. At first. Then by choice. Thane was quiet for a moment. You realize we could charge you both with enough crimes to execute you twice over. We do, Kieran said. But you also just handed us the biggest corruption network in the military on a silver platter. Along with 36 compromised officials and enough evidence to close 200 open cases. She leaned back. So here's what's going to happen. Vale, you're looking at 30 years minimum. No parole for at least 20. Kieran nodded. Zephyr, you're looking at manslaughter charges for Grant. Self-defense might apply, but you'll still serve time. 7 to 10 years, probably. My hand instinctively went to my stomach. Unless, Thane continued, you're willing to testify against everyone in those files. Full cooperation. Witness protection afterward. And Kieran? I asked. Still serving his sentence. But maybe in a facility where you can have supervised visits. Where your child can know their father. It was more than we deserved. There's one condition, Thane said. Marcus Reeves testified that Kira Vale is planning something catastrophic. One final attack before she goes down. We need to know what it is. I don't know, Kieran said. Then figure it out. Because if Kira succeeds, thousands of people could die. And all those deals we're offering, gone. She left us alone in the interrogation room. I'm sorry, Kieran said. I'm so sorry I brought you into this world. You didn't bring me in. The government assigned me. Elias manipulated me. Kira used me. I took his hand. But you loved me. You chose me. You're willing to sacrifice everything for me. Still not enough. It's everything. The door opened. Marcus stepped in, and I'd never been so happy to see anyone in my life. They said I could see you, he said, before they take you away. I stood, pulled him into my arms. You're okay. You're really okay. Because of you. Both of you. He looked at Kieran. Thank you. For coming for me. Zephyr wouldn't have stopped until he found you, Kieran said simply. I know what Kira's planning, Marcus said suddenly. I heard her talking to her operatives. There's a military ceremony tomorrow night. High command, government officials, everyone who's about to get exposed. She's going to destroy the entire venue. Kill everyone in one strike. How? Kieran asked, suddenly intense. I don't know specifics, but she mentioned the building's foundation. Something about structural vulnerabilities. Kieran's face went white. The Veterans Memorial Hall. That's where the annual ceremony is tomorrow. And I designed the security protocols for that building 6 years ago. Then you know its weaknesses, I said. Every single one. He stood, banged on the door. Thane, I know what Kira's planning, and I can stop it. But I need you to trust me. Hit that like button right now because this climax is going to be intense. Comment if you think Kieran can stop Kira. And subscribe because you need to see how this ends. The Veterans Memorial Hall was magnificent, filled with lights and dress uniforms and people who had no idea they were standing in a tomb. Kieran was in a tracking vest, military escort surrounding him, agents who didn't trust him. But Thane had made the call. He was their best chance at finding Kira's explosives before they detonated. I watched from the command vehicle, Marcus beside me, both of us wired with audio so we could hear everything. Kira knows this building, Kieran said into his comm. She knows I designed the security. She'd target the places I'd defend, which means she'd hit the places I wouldn't expect her to consider. That's circular logic, Thane said. That's how Kira thinks. She's always been 3 steps ahead because she thinks like me, thinks like I. The Veterans Memorial Hall was magnificent, filled with lights and dress uniforms and people who had no idea they were standing in a tomb. Kieran was in a tracking vest, military escort surrounding him, agents who didn't trust him. But Thane had made the call. He was their best chance at finding Kira's explosives before they detonated. I watched from the command vehicle, Marcus beside me, both of us wired with audio so we could hear everything. Kira knows this building, Kieran said into his comm. She knows I designed the security. She'd target the places I'd defend, which means she'd hit the places I wouldn't expect her to consider. That's circular logic, Thane said. That's how Kira thinks. She's always been 3 steps ahead because she thinks like me. Thinks like I taught her to think when we were surviving the lower districts together. He paused. But there's one place I never told her about. One structural flaw I found and never reported because I was planning to exploit it myself one day. Where? The old ventilation system on the east wing. It was sealed during renovations, but there's access through the sub-basement maintenance corridors. If you wanted to bring down the entire building, that's where you'd plant charges. How sure are you? 85%. And the other 15%? She outplayed me again and everyone dies. The team moved into the corridors. I watched through camera feeds as they descended into darkness, weapons raised, searching for explosives that might not exist. Then Kieran's voice. Found them. 8 charges, military grade, enough to level 3 city blocks. We need bomb disposal down here immediately. But something was wrong. I could hear it in his voice. Kieran? Thane asked. These aren't on timers. They're biometric triggers. Which means Kira's here, watching, waiting for the right moment to activate them. Then we evacuate now. Can't. She'll see the evacuation and trigger everything anyway. We have to disarm them. You're not trained for bomb disposal. But I know her. I know how she thinks. He was already moving toward the first charge. Just keep everyone upstairs calm. I've got this. I wanted to scream at him through the feed. He didn't have this. He was still recovering from the serum, still healing from bullet wounds, running on nothing but desperate determination. But I knew that tone. That was the voice of a man who'd already made his choice. Zephyr, he said suddenly, and I realized he was talking to me. I need you to listen. I'm listening. In my personal files, there's a data chip for our child. In case. Don't, I said, voice breaking. Don't you dare say goodbye to me right now. I'm not saying goodbye. I'm saying I love you. And I'm sorry. For everything you've been through because of me. For every way I failed you. His voice cracked. But you made me want to be better. You made me believe I could be. Then prove it. Disarm those charges and come back to me. Working on it. The next 12 minutes were the longest of my life. I watched through grainy camera feeds as Kieran worked, hands steady despite everything, talking himself through each wire, each connection. The bomb disposal team was still 4 minutes out. Second charge disarmed, he said. Third one's more complex. She's chained them together. If I trigger the wrong sequence, they all detonate. Then don't trigger the wrong sequence, Thane said. Helpful, thanks. Marcus gripped my hand so tight I thought my bones would break. On screen, Kieran was sweating, fingers working with surgical precision on wires I couldn't see clearly. Fourth one done. Fifth, wait. What? Thane demanded. This one's different. She modified it. There's a pressure sensor integrated with a dead man's switch. If I move it wrong, or if my heart rate drops below a certain threshold. He trailed off. She knew I'd come down here, knew I'd try to disarm them. This is for me specifically. Can you disarm it? Maybe, but it'll take time we don't have. The sixth charge is the primary. If that one detonates, the building comes down regardless. So we evacuate. I told you. She's watching. The moment people start flooding out, she triggers everything. Kieran's voice was sharp with urgency. I need 8 minutes on this pressure sensor. Someone else needs to get the sixth charge. My team can. Your team doesn't know Kira. Send Zephyr. Everyone started talking at once. Thane was shouting no, Marcus was screaming, and I was already moving. He's right, I said, grabbing a vest. I know Kira. I know how she manipulates, how she plans. And she won't expect me. You're pregnant. Which is exactly why I have to do this. That's my child's father down there. That's my family. I met Thane's eyes. You want to stop her? Let me help. Thane looked like she wanted to argue. Instead, she handed me an earpiece. You follow my instructions exactly. Understand? Yes. And Zephyr? If anything looks wrong, you run. The mission isn't worth your life. But it was. Because Kieran was down there, and hundreds of innocent people were upstairs, and this was my chance to be brave for something that mattered. The corridors were cold, dark, claustrophobic. I could hear Kieran breathing in my ear, cursing softly as he worked on the pressure sensor. Could hear Thane coordinating teams above ground, keeping people calm while preparing for the worst. Sixth charge is at the end of the corridor, Thane said. You'll see it. Red casing, digital display. Don't touch anything until bomb disposal talks you through it. I found it exactly where she said. Red casing. Digital display showing 6 minutes and 42 seconds. Counting down. I see it, I said. Okay, Zephyr. Listen carefully. Hello, Zephyr. I spun. Kira stepped out of the shadows, weapon in hand, smiling like we were old friends meeting for tea. Did you really think I wouldn't be here for the finale? She asked. That I'd miss watching you all scramble? Kira. Kieran's voice in my ear, tight with fear. Don't. Oh, don't worry, brother. I'm not going to shoot your precious servant. I'm just going to make him choose. She gestured to the bomb. 6 minutes left. He can try to disarm it and probably fail. Or he can run, save himself and your baby, and let everyone upstairs die. Including Marcus. You're insane, I said. I'm practical. This world chewed us up and spit us out. Kieran and me both. We learned to bite back. But he got weak. Found you. Found love. Found something to care about beyond survival. Her smile turned cruel. So now he gets to learn what real loss feels like. Zephyr. Run, Kieran said. And I'd never heard him sound so desperate. Get out of there now. I'm not leaving. Zephyr. I'm not leaving, I repeated louder. I looked at Kira. You want him to feel loss? You want him to suffer? You're doing it wrong. Because the thing that would destroy him isn't losing me. It's me losing myself. I moved toward the bomb. Zephyr, no. Kieran's voice cracked. Please, I'm begging you. Talk me through it, I said to Thane. Tell me what to do. Kira laughed. This is beautiful. The servant playing hero. But you don't have the training, Zephyr. You don't have the skill. You're going to die down here, and it's going to be for nothing. Thane, I said, ignoring her. What do I do? Access panel on the left side. You need to remove it. My hands shook as I found the panel, pried it open. Inside was a nightmare of wires and circuits and components I didn't understand. 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Blue wire cluster, Thane said. Second from the top. That's the detonator feed. I found it. Okay. Don't cut it yet. We need to trace it to make sure it's not a decoy. There's no time for that, Kieran said. He'd stopped working on his bomb. Was listening. Kira would make it complicated but not impossible. She'd want the satisfaction of knowing we were close. Zephyr. Look for a secondary wire running parallel to the blue cluster. I looked. Found it. Red wire, thinner, wrapped around the blue cluster like a vine. Got it. Cut the red one first. Then the blue. Kieran, if you're wrong. Thane started. I'm not wrong. I know my sister. Zephyr. Trust me. 5 minutes and 10 seconds. I positioned the wire cutters on the red wire. If you do this, Kira said, and you're wrong, the bomb detonates in your face. You and the baby, gone instantly. Is that really what you want? To die on my brother's guess. I looked at her. I'd rather die trusting him than live knowing I didn't. I cut the red wire. Nothing happened. 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Blue cluster now, Kieran said. All 3 wires simultaneously. You'll need to strip them first to access the core connection. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the tools. I stripped the wires, exposed the connection point beneath. Ready? Kieran asked. Ready. On 3. 1, 2, 3. I cut all 3 wires at once. The timer stopped at 4 minutes and 38 seconds. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. Just stared at the frozen numbers. Zephyr. Kieran's voice, desperate. Talk to me. It worked. I whispered. It worked. Thank God. Thank God. Now get out of there. Kira raised her weapon. I don't think so, she said. If I can't have my grand finale, I'll settle for this. Watching Kieran lose the one thing he actually loves. Kira, please. Kieran was begging, and I'd never heard him beg. Please. I'll give you anything. Everything. Just don't. You already gave me everything. The moment you chose him over family. Over me. Her finger tightened on the trigger. Goodbye, Zephyr. The gunshot echoed through the corridor. But I wasn't the one who fell. Kira dropped, blood blooming across her chest. Behind her, Marcus stood with a weapon he must have taken from the command vehicle, hands shaking, face white. I'm sorry, Marcus whispered, staring at what he'd done. I couldn't let her. I couldn't. He collapsed and I caught him, both of us sinking to the cold floor. Kieran was already running toward us. I could hear his footsteps, hear him shouting my name. He burst around the corner and fell to his knees beside us. You're okay, he said, hands on my face, checking for injuries with frantic urgency. You're okay. I'm okay, I confirmed, then looked at Marcus, who was staring at Kira's body in shock. He saved me. We saved each other, Marcus said quietly. That's what family does. Kieran pulled us both close, and I felt him shaking. I thought I'd lost you. Both of you. Not that easy to get rid of us, I said. Thane arrived with bomb disposal and medics. They confirmed all 8 charges were disarmed. The ceremony upstairs continued, none of them aware of how close they'd come to dying. Kira was pronounced dead at the scene. Hit that subscribe button right now because this story isn't over yet. Drop a like if you're crying right now, and comment telling me you're here for what happens next. For months later, I stood in a courtroom wearing civilian clothes and my barcode tattoo covered by a medical patch, watching a judge decide my fate. Kieran had already been sentenced. 20 years military detention facility. We'd have supervised visits. Our daughter would know her father, even if it would be through reinforced barriers and monitored conversations for a while. Marcus sat in the gallery, his hand over his heart, hoping. Mr. Reeves, the judge said, you've cooperated fully with authorities. You've provided testimony that has resulted in the conviction of 47 individuals involved in military corruption. You've shown genuine remorse for your actions. I held my breath. And you were a victim of manipulation and coercion. However, you did commit manslaughter. You did participate in attempted murder, even if under false pretenses. She paused. I'm sentencing you to 8 years, suspended to time served plus 4 years probation. You'll wear a monitoring device. You'll continue to testify as needed. And you'll undergo counseling. Time served. For months. I was going home. I nearly collapsed with relief. Marcus was crying in the gallery. Thane nodded from her seat, satisfied. But the best part came that evening. They let me visit Kieran one last time before I started probation. We sat across from each other in the visitation room, a transparent barrier between us that might as well have been an ocean. "You're free," he said, and his smile was radiant despite the detention uniform. "You're actually free. For now. 4 years probation isn't nothing. But you're not in here with me. Our daughter will be born outside these walls. She'll have you." He pressed his hand against the barrier, and I matched it on my side. "That's everything. 20 years, Kieran. I'll be 42 when you get out. I'll be 52, old and gray." His thumb moved against the barrier like he was trying to touch me through it. "Will you wait? Are you seriously asking me that? After everything?" "Fair point." His smile turned soft. "I love you, Zephyr Reeves. I loved you when you were poisoning me. I loved you when you confessed. I loved you when you walked into that corridor to save strangers. And I'll love you every day for the next 20 years until I can hold you again without barriers." "I love you too," I said. "Even when you're infuriating. Even when you're making impossible choices. Even when you're in detention, Gray." We sat there until the guards said time was up, hands pressed against the barrier, memorizing each other's faces. Our daughter was born on a Tuesday in September. Kieran watched via secure video call, tears streaming down his face as I brought her into the world. We named her Nova, because after everything dark we'd been through, she was our new beginning, our bright star, our hope. Marcus moved in with me to help. Rebuilt his life, went back to school for coding. The nightmares faded slowly, but he was healing. And every week, I took Nova to visit her father. "Look at her," Kieran would say, pressing his hand against the barrier while Nova pressed her tiny palm against the other side. "She's getting so big. She has your eyes," I'd tell him, "and your determination. That's definitely from you." We'd laugh, and for those few minutes, the barrier between us wouldn't matter. 18 months into his sentence, something unexpected happened. Kieran was granted early parole review. His cooperation with military reform, his model behavior, his rehabilitation testimony, all of it added up. The judge who'd sentenced him had retired, and the new judge was more focused on restorative justice. I sat in the parole hearing, Nova on my hip, and listened to Kieran speak. "I'm not going to pretend I'm a good man," he said. "I've done terrible things, hurt people, built a reputation on violence and fear. But Zephyr and our daughter have given me a reason to be better, to try. I want to be someone my daughter can be proud of, someone who builds instead of destroys." The parole board deliberated for 40 minutes. "Mr. Vale," the board chair said, "we're granting you conditional parole, 7 years supervised release. You'll wear a monitor. You'll maintain employment in approved sectors only. You'll continue counseling and rehabilitation programs. Any violation, and you're back inside for the full sentence." Kieran's face crumpled. "Thank you. Thank you." He walked out of that facility 5 days later. I was waiting by the gates with Nova, both of us bundled against the autumn wind. When he saw us, he ran. Actually ran, monitoring anklet and all. He dropped to his knees in front of us, pulling us both into his arms. "My family," he whispered. "My family." Nova touched his face with her tiny hands, curious about this man she'd only known through barriers. "Dada." He broke down completely. "Yeah, baby girl," I said, crying too. "That's your dada." But life doesn't give you neat endings. It gives you complications. Because 2 weeks after Kieran's release, we got a message. It was from an encrypted source, untraceable, containing a single video file and a message. Kira wasn't working alone. "The network is bigger than you thought. And now that Vale is free, they want to meet." The video showed a room full of figures and shadows, military insignia visible on some uniforms. And in the center, a man with Kieran's copper-colored eyes and the same burn scar pattern, but on the right side instead of the left. "Hello, son," the man said. "I believe it's time we discussed the family business, and what happens to families who refuse their inheritance." Kieran watched the video with shaking hands. "That's my father," I thought he died in the uprising 20 years ago. What does he want? Everything. Always has. He closed the video. But he can't have us. We're out. We're done. And if he doesn't accept that, then we run. We take Nova and Marcus and we disappear. Start over somewhere he'll never find us. You'd give up everything again? For you? For our family? He pulled me close. Without hesitation. That night I lay in bed next to him. Actually next to him, no barriers, no guards, just us, and felt truly safe for the first time in years. Whatever comes next, I said. We face it together. Together, he agreed. Nova cried from the nursery, and we both got up to check on her. Moved as one, parents learning this dance together. And as I watched Kieran rock our daughter back to sleep, humming softly, I thought about everything that had brought us here. The poison, the lies, the betrayal, the violence. All of it had led to this moment. This strange, beautiful, complicated family we'd built from ashes and trauma. Was it worth it? I looked at them, my daughter, my partner, my choice, and knew the answer. Yes. Every broken piece. Every scar. Every moment of darkness. Yes. Because love isn't about perfection. It's about choosing someone despite everything. About building something real from the wreckage. And we'd built something beautiful. But as I closed my eyes that night, Kieran's arm around me, Nova sleeping peacefully in the next room. I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over. The encrypted message sat on my tablet, glowing softly in the darkness. Kieran's father was out there, watching, waiting, and something told me the real war was just beginning. If you made it this far, you absolute legend, drop a comment telling me what you thought. Hit that like button if this story destroyed you in the best way. And subscribe because Zephyr and Kieran's story is far from over. This is Zephyr Reeves signing off. Remember, love isn't about being perfect. It's about choosing each other every single day, despite everything. Even the poison, especially the poison. And when the monsters from your past come calling, you face them together, because that's what family does.